they get you there. So how do you become a being in that form realm? Is if in this desire realm you've spent enough time meditating at that level of subtlety, which Geshe Michael I think says something like 1 in 1,000, 1 in 10,000 beings can reach that kind of depth of meditation. Yeah, where you habituate, and there are people in the forests in India and the rest meditating and getting your mind in that settle. But if you're not directing it and getting it to a point where you can have the ultimate experience of the emptiness, and you're just habituating your mind there and spacing out and etc., then you just land there as a being because you've not done any negative karma to give you a gross sense of battling it out in the desire realm. So you have all this awesome karma of subtlety and lovely, and so it results in whatever level of the form realm you end up in as a pleasure being, etc., right? And you use up all that goodness, and you don't have enough push or drive to generate any more goodness, so you're using up the bank account until there's none left, and let's say you drop straight down to the lowest experiences, the lowest hells. Which brings us to the question, how can an animal constantly lost in its being eaten ever get out of it? Yeah? And I battled with that question. It really angered me actually at the beginning, because it's like, you're telling me there's no way out. By this logic, there's like no way out. I'm forever driven to eat another thing and eat another thing and another thing. The answer that I've landed as an experience in meditation and myself is, whatever realm you end up in, like of those base realms, you're lost in there for a long time. It's like Inception, that the deeper you go, the longer time expands, because you're hypnotized by that experience and perpetuating that experience. Yeah, and that's why in the form realm, the devas and pleasure beings are lost in there for a very long time too. Yeah. I can see the hands going up. I'm ignoring them. Yeah. At some point you can exhaust those. I can tell you a story that I didn't like when I first heard it, but it somehow helped me. That they said that through the virtue of being around holy objects or holy beings, animals can get a chance into a human birth. And I think there was what kind of insect was it that circumambulated a stupa 3 times because there was a flash flood and it landed on a thong or something, not an American thong, an Australian thong, which is what do you call this? Like a sandal. Thank you. Yeah, there weren't any thongs hanging around this special stupa, right? There was just a sandal, and so the beings on that and then died, and because they died next to a holy site, they had an impulse associated to that site, and therefore born as got a better birth. When you have pets and you have an experience of those beings that are close to the human realm, that's another way that I've come to terms with that idea that there is an impulse of goodness and of a different kind of being. It's not like a judgmental goodness, it's a different kind of being, kindness of sorts. And you've seen animals express this, you've seen animals next to other dead animals trying to take care of them and so on.
I was just gonna say, like, couldn't you argue too that like how you're saying, there are some animals that are treated better than that live better than some humans?
Yeah.
So couldn't you argue that those animals, like my pet, like my dog, is so spoiled. He sleeps in my bed every night. That he must have gained some sort of karma to wind up in that situation. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But
right?
if you take the idea of the realms of pleasure beings and hell beings and ghosts and the rest as a metaphor, which you can, I said it sometimes works, but I'm not saying think of it as only a metaphor. You eventually come to the problem question, which is, well, then what happens when we die? Yeah, sorry, was that good on purpose or was that?
No.
Yeah. I thought it was funny too. Yeah. That was hilarious. And Ken Rinpoche, Geshe Michael's teacher, Holy Ken Rinpoche, used to watch the the drawing of the New York lottery because he thought that's what happens. He's like, this is so funny, that's what happens when you die. So you have all these karmas, you have an infinite number of karmas, some of which are at the, if you can imagine a pool, some are floating at the top because they're the ones that we are habituating most as this kind of human, or habituating most because we're this kind of animal. And so the arm gets drawn for the, at the moment of death, when the mind begins to grasp onto something that wants to continue, that sense of self, it will grasp at the karmas that are at the surface, if you like. Yeah? So it's still one of many, and this is the Nirlangikyo, the projecting karma that will give you the perception of being a certain being for a period of time. And then the other, the fill-in karma, are all the other karmas that fill in, whether you're a nice human or a depressed human or a, you know, skipping horse or a whatever stuff. But the projecting karma, the one that gets drawn at the flip, what we call death, and you enter the bardo, the in-between realm, at that point already you have the shape and intent and direction towards that state of being. And unless you've got a very strong meditation practice that can disregard the mayhem that's happening as your body's disintegrating and you're peeling off your conception from being a solid thing, and you can maintain a focus that's saying this is also my projection, unless you got that happening, which is more than 1 in 10,000, then you're just propelled by that karma that drew you, that Nirlangikyo that projected you into that thing. And then your individual karmas fill in the colors of that shape or that being, if to use metaphorical language. So as an animal, to ever get out of the animal realm is extremely difficult. It's even more difficult for a hell being to get out of a hell realm. And that's why we're saying we have this balance where sometimes we experience enough pleasure and we experience enough pain that we have the perception of being able to influence that. It's this, it's still a projection. It's still empty. It's not by itself a nature. It is your nature as humans. This is a quality of human, that we have this perception that we can somehow choose our emotion and choose that. It's still a karma. And it functions as such. And it gives you that experience. And that's why we're forever close to enlightenment and not lost in the pleasure and in the suffering realms. Let me, in 4 minutes, get through the formless realm quickly, and then a couple of ways of being birthed, and then I feel I've caught up, okay? So this is characterized by the continuum of person. So the formless realm means that you have no physical form. You have the 4 out of the 5 aggregates, or the 5 heaps, you have 4 of them, minus the 1 of form. Do you remember the 5 heaps? It's in the Heart Sutra. Do you remember it? No? Most of them are mental. The heaps of a person. Sensation, perception, formation, and consciousness. Yeah? Sensation, perception, form. Mental formations and consciousness.
That's 4.
Yeah, that's 4. And form, physical form, is the 5th. So you have all those 4, but you don't have physical form. You have sensations, perceptions, mental formations where you begin to shape ideas and the rest, and consciousness, awareness. So they're the 4 out of the 5 heaps. You're missing the first one, which is the heap of form. Those 4 still give you an impression, a continuum of an I. I'm a thing, I'm a being, yeah? And that person is neither mental nor physical. Like, what's a pole? You know, is that body pole? And when you begin that analysis, you say, well, I saw a photo of Paul, didn't look like that. Was that Paul? Is the mind, the minute-to-minute changes of that mind, is that Paul? There's something else that's Paul, that's neither physical nor mental, when you separate those two. And that ego in the first translations from east to west, that sense of I, that sense of being, that continuum is what appears in the formless realm. If at the moment of death you had done enough subtle meditations that have landed you there, it's the same as the form realm, caused by subtle, more subtle states of mind that are detached from the raw senses, yeah, that we have in the desire realm. If you become a being that's less and less interested in all those desires, and you become more of a mental inhabitant, yeah, and have made it your life's effort to understand that, and you do that in meditation, the rest, and you then created the courses to have that kind of resulting experience. That if you haven't clarified it, you haven't broken the cycle of the I, not this I, but the I, then the sensation of the continuum of the person is what creates your perception as a being in the formless realm, also in pleasure. Mm-hmm. So where is the, oh, did I give the answer there? Not yet. Where is the formless realm, based on what I just told you?
It's right where you are.
It's right where you are. So if you died in that state, your mind, the location, if you had to find a location, is the location of the mind at the moment of death. There is no place.
That is what state? In a state
Well,
where
whichever state projected it into a formless being. So let's say that I'm a Hindu master meditating for years, and I get more and more subtle, and I mistake the pleasures of my meditation for a goal rather than a byproduct of my meditation.
which could be a form realm.
I could be in a form realm, or I could be in a desire realm, but most likely, from what I understand from the Abhidhamma culture, it's in the desire realm as a human.
Okay.
Because once you've very few, actually I haven't heard much about form realm beings becoming formless realm beings. I'd have to investigate it, I'm not sure. So my answer for that, from what I know for sure, is from the desire realm as humans. Yeah, if you pass from the desire realm as human and have meditated, placed your mind in more and more subtle awarenesses of being, and you died and the projecting karma that came out was the same flavor as what you were meditating in, you would experience yourself as a being in the formless realm.
In the formless or form?
Formless realm. Either or. Yeah, because both are created by the levels of depth that your mind has gone to whilst practicing in deep meditation.
Right.
Yeah? But in this example, we're talking about formless realm now, it's in the
That's what.
formless realm meditations. Very, very deep states of meditation.
Okay, so just for me, like being slow and not getting this per second,
Sure.
what's like the dumb version of the difference between the form realm and the formless realm? Because they
Sure.
seem
You
pretty
don't
much-
have a physical body in the form realm. In the formless realm. In the form realm,
Or
you
still
have
around
a body of light, you have something.
the 50.
Yeah, you have the heap of form. In here, your mind continues, you just don't have the heap of form, you have all the other mental heaps.
But they're pretty much the same as their wives.
Well, this one is free of body, of growth. You have reached the peak of form in the form realm. There's no more beauty or higher expression of form than the top level of the form realm. Beyond that, it's just mind. This is just mind.
But a person could skip right from the desire realm to the formless
Yeah,
realm.
absolutely.
Or you could go in any direction.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yep.
But
Oh.
the formless realm, can you appear in any way you want?
You are a mind only. You are not physical form.
Because the Buddhas can appear in any form they want.
Yeah.
Right, so is the Buddha separate from?
This is separate. These three realms are separate from where the Buddha
Right.
experiences.
This is still
the-
samsara.
Yeah, this is still in
Still
samsara.
in
Can you practice the Dharma in the formless
Ah,
realm?
it's can you practice the Dharma in the Super Bowl? Yeah, it's that kind of question. It's like you're so lost in this state and subtle state of being. It's not the unless you. It's not the place to be. Can the Buddha appear there and try and communicate with these beings? Probably. Are these beings too lost in their happiness and joy and delusions to see that they need to get out? Yeah. And in the form realm, I don't think I mentioned it, there comes a time where after such a long time of existing in pleasure, your body begins to rot. You get this garland around your neck and you begin to rot and smell, and everybody else runs away from you, and you know instantly you're going to die. And the suffering of that awareness that you've just spent all this time in pleasure and it will end suddenly is worse than all the happiness you had in all that time, is one of the descriptions there. I don't know about the end of the formless realm. You all have very good. I'm happy to continue. I can do it till 10, but I don't want to keep all the others. Yeah.
Like, can you have a direct perception of emptiness in the formless realm if you haven't had it yet already? Like, can you go from the desire realm to the formless realm without having a direct perception, and then can you have it here? Or it's just not a good place to practice because you can't practice?
It's not a place conducive to practice because you're lost in your mental bliss.
Okay.
So a cost to go in formless realm is to be in delusions?
A course of being in the formless realm is to being in delusions, was your question?
Is that a form of delusion?
Yeah, I'm only hesitant because there is a part of me that wants to say there must be some beings that can practice there, right? There's a part of me that says that, but I haven't got any evidence or proof in the scriptures or in my teachings about it. The way you land there is because you've been meditating with the wrong perception about what the meditation is about. Like the meditator who got beaten by Kamala Shila, who says you meditate on absolutely nothing and you clear your mind and you do that for a very long time, and that has a pleasurable sensation and everything, but it doesn't do anything, it doesn't free you from suffering, it just creates the courses for you to end up here.
Okay.
You see what I mean? So you could zone out, space out, and you'll see it by the names of some of the divisions of this realm. Let me finish and then we can ask all the questions. Yeah? They still engage with their minds and get lost and create delusions within their minds, right? So that's a quality there. And here are the divisions. There's 4 divisions of the resulting, and these are the meditations that cause these 4 levels of being in the formless realm. Like I said, I've never been to these realms, but I can understand how if you get your mind in a, and this is the meditation, nothing at all, that the Chinese, can't remember his name, there's this Chinese master of meditation who came to Tibet and tried to teach everybody, if you meditate on nothing at all, if you completely blank out your mind, you will achieve these states of bliss. And you will. But you've mistaken the point of meditation, which is the tool, the microscope to which you observe reality. It's not for its own sake. For its own sake, it will have a result, and the result is nothing at all level of the formless realm, where you are in a constant state of spacing out, of bliss, but it will end. Everything caused will end. Everything caused that you don't understand its nature will end. And as soon as you've used up all the karmas of all the pleasures you can ever experience with your mental gymnastics, it's finished. And where is it left to go? If you have a bucket of beautiful, crisp, white, flowing karmas that give you nothing but pleasure, you have the same bucket filled with dark, yucky impulses, and you've used up all the white ones for 10,000 eons or whatever the hell it is. What's your next experience? What if there's a automatic 65 a second expressions from that bucket and I've just used all the white ones? What's the next one? Yeah, and it's not like it's got its own nature from its own side, or where it's just the impulses left that you've created. So it will end. Bottom line, 4 more things. Here we go. 4 ways of being born. You can be born complete, right? And the reason I put him there is because you're born with a mature body and fully clothed, by the way. Yeah. This guy isn't fully clothed, his willy's covered. The stories in the Abhidharma Kosha, when they describe the cycles, the eons of universes that come and go, the eons of the cycles where a Buddha will come to a place and beings are born and they live for thousands of years and the years get reduced and the years go up and this is one great kalpa, etc., etc. They say that the beings that begin that cycle are born like this. They're born complete, just like Prometheus, appeared on the planet. And they say this is probably the best way of being born if you look at it from the point of, are you doing any beings any harm by being born this way? Yeah? So thank you, Lady Gaga. It doesn't hurt you, it doesn't hurt anyone else because nobody popped you out. Yeah? So you just appeared complete. Another way of being born that's describing the Abhidharma Kosha is through warm and moisture, what we in the Middle Ages would have called spontaneous generation, I think it was called. And it's summertime, it's warm and sticky, and all of a sudden things are appearing from ponds, and you think that that's from warmth and moisture. And that is said to be second best to be born because it hurts you but not your mother. Yeah, when you're born. The next way of being born is born through a womb, and it's third favorite because it hurts you and it hurts your mother. And then the best way of being born, even though it's not great for you to reach enlightenment, but it's just in terms of how much harm you do for coming into being, is born from an egg, because it hurts your mother. The least favorite, because it hurts your mother once and you twice, right? Once when you popped out as an egg, and once when you have to fight your way out of the egg. Whew. Okay, so the point of it all is these are three states of being, three versions of the multiverse that we just discussed, and obviously you can go into depth, and I encourage you, go read the Abhidharma Kosha and get these and any other fantastical ideas of where your experience of being can land. It's not that this is the only way of being. There are multitudes of beings, and even within the human realm there are multitudes of being. Within the animal realm, within the insect realm. When you end, it doesn't end. That's the good news. The bad news is, if you're not planting the courses for it to continue in a specific flavor, you've got zero control. And the chance is, it's a narrow window between overshooting a mind that says, I need to understand the nature of this existence through constant meditation, training of the mind, building up enough virtue, goodnesses, that give you the experience of goodness and all understanding. Getting lost in that, la-di-da, I'm doing yoga and I'm just a buzzy being, and you're dead. You're dead. And unless you've got a habit, unless you've got an impulse that allows that deadness to continue in a specific fashion where you can meet knowledge that gets you out of these cycles, we're stuck. It's worth investigating, and there are many permutations of being. So the point of this consideration of the three, nobody teaches the realms of existence from the Abhidharma Kosha. When you go to universities and the rest and they teach you Buddhism, they sort of hide this one because it's got these bizarre experiences and descriptions of planets and the rest. It's like, oh, that's a little weird. Let's talk about enlightenment. But it's important to understand it from the Prasangika point of view, that if your experience, the one you're having right now, is a projection from your karma, it's within reason that you could have any of these, and then you imagine the rest and in between experiences as a being. And with that in mind, I encourage you to consider what it would be like to wake up, really think, okay, I've got this chance, I've got this opportunity. What do I do with it? Do I go to the Super Bowl? You know? And you might end up at the Super Bowl. We get lost in doing a virtue, we get lost in doing a niceness, we get busy in doing things. Don't get lost in Dharma for the sake of Dharma, being nice. Yeah? Do it because it moves you to something. Use your mind. Get sharp with your mind. This is a frame to look at that mind with. With that in mind, let's dedicate any goodness that we just did, and then I'll tell you about parties and Wheel of Life teaching and help. Okay? Who's going to do it? Paul?
Sashi
Kuki Jishin Metotram Virabling Shin Indegam Padi Sange Shindu Niteruagi Droku Nanda Shinla Shivashok Hidam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamrinyatayami Nidyoku Sunam Yeshe Sotsokshin Sunam Yeshe Lejunwe Dampa Kuni Topasho. Thank you so much for coming, and sorry it went a little late. And next Thursday we will be having class, and next week is the week of love and wisdom, beginning with Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday teachings with Holy Geshe Michael at PS 19. The brochures are outside. If